Hello everybody, welcome to another third-party review. In today's video we're taking a look at Crimson Wings, the Deformation aircraft DS-01. This is another take on a masterpiece style G1-esque Starscream. Got a kind of lovely black box here, gorgeously embossed kind of foil Starscream on the top there, 16 plus. Flipping the box over, we've got a warning on the back, and we've got this kind of silvery reflective crimson wings. That's all we get from the box. It got a little bit of a battering from Royal Mail when it was sent over from Shozi, but everything inside is secure. So let's take a look at exactly what we got. Boom! I have never had an MP style bot that screams sass as much as this guy. He's got so much character in him. Now, I don't have the new MP version of Starscream, to be honest with you. I was actually holding off, waiting for this to be released, because I was even looking at getting the Make Toys version, because as much as I love the look of the new MP Starscream, I think it was MGo's video I watched on it. It looks sensational, but the trip from A to B, transformation-wise, looks horrendous. Now, I believe this is brought to us by the team over at Infinite Transformations, or Transform Element, that team. The ones that gave us that stunning Optimus Prime. Now, that is only hearsay. I don't know that for certain, but he looks sensational, doesn't he? Just very clean. Not without his flaws, but bear in mind this is a pre-production sample. It's not yet final. It's incredibly close to being final. They're not going to change much about it, but there are some flaws that I would like to nitpick. But all in all, it's an incredibly clean variation of Starscream, especially compared to the other two versions of MP Starscream that I currently have. I mean, on articulation levels alone, he puts pretty much most of my MP Transformers to shame. What an incredibly flexible young chap. I've had a few people say they don't like the head sculpt on it. Maybe it's something just slightly off about the mouth, but it's not actually horrendously bad. I think that's something maybe they could tweak. It definitely looks like Screamer, doesn't it? Obviously, the Decepticon insignias I've placed on there myself. I've probably placed them a little bit too far in, or not. Maybe I should have put them more square on here. That was just a choice. Probably re-peel those off and try them. Those are from my Yes Model Seekers. I just used those ones. But if you don't like that face, we do actually get replacement faces. We get the Smile. I actually quite like that one. I think this is my favourite of the three, but let's check out the third face. And I guess that one is more of the Smirk. But even the kind of eyes, the face mask comes over slightly different on those eyes, making it look a lot more, capturing a lot more expression on those faces. In fact, they're very human facial expressions. And to switch out these heads, due to the incredibly articulated head, I mean, we've got a single ball inside that neck joint, and then the neck itself is articulated, so it can pivot up and down. We can just pop the face straight out, and then I'll put my Smile back in and just sink that head. There we go, that's the one I'm going for. Whilst we're on articulation, the head can look up, down, left and right. Lots of motion in there. We've got some quizzical tilting side to side. These are tilted, so they come up and down. Shoulders are on ratchets, Then come up to the side, we have a butterfly joint on there as well. We have an upper bicep rotation. We get not one, but two bends on those elbows, allowing the arm to come all the way up. Rotation on the wrist. We've got pivot on the wrist. We've got articulated fingers and hands. We have a space on the inside of the hand there to grip a gun. Not a gun that comes with our Starscream, so one would assume that maybe we could fit a Megatron or something in there. We get a waist rotation and we get an abdominal crunch as well. It's all done on this hinge on the waist here, much like we got with the Transform Element one. Now we'll just pick up on this. Look, if we look, you see a little bit of paint rub on the underside of that hinge. It's a very tight hinge at the moment. Like I said, maybe this is something they'll correct, but I can't make any promises. But again, very kind of humanoid hands, done very well. Got a little bit of paint on the inside of those legs where I've been transforming them a few times as well. We have hip skirts to the front, sides as well, and fixed ones at the rear, but that does allow for the legs to come that far forward. Now, I feel a little bit loose, but there's no movement there at all. Now, up to the side, we've actually got an additional hinge in there, which is how I got that kind of Iron Man superhero landing pose. So we can bring that in. There's a thigh rotation in there. And we've got a wonderfully deep double jointed bend on that knee. Independent toe rotation, nothing up and down on that toe. We do have some motion on that heel, and we do also have a really nice pivot on this section as well. So we can bring the toe out and then pivot that all the way down to give him an incredibly wide stance. So he is a very nicely articulated individual. We have the ability to extend the null raise on both arms, and of course we can bend and maneuver the wings as we see fit. They slide inwards, upwards and outwards, so you can pose them as you pose our Starscream. I mean, other than these flaps, very much like what we got with the original Seekers and the Make Toys versions, this tidies up incredibly well. I mean, look at that for a profile on a Seeker. That's wonderful. Just incredibly clean. The belly sits in there really nicely. That's one thing I noticed on MGo's video when he was showing off Starscream, is he really kind of appeared to have a bit of a pot belly going on. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, it's obviously modelled after me, but just keeps him very, very trim. I really love how that looks. Now, in terms of my other Starscreams, I have the Yes model Starscream, and we have the Kuban Bao Starscream. Yes model being based off the MP11, and Kuban Bao's being based off of the iGears version of the MP03. But as you can see, our centre character taking stage there definitely looks the most cartoon accurate out of the three, and is definitely my new favourite Starscream that I own. I've been reading comments on the threads, and yes, as of this time, he doesn't come with a coronation kit. That seems to be what people are grumbling about, but price-wise, he is drastically lower than the new MP Starscream. I mean, I can see if I can borrow the new MP Starscream off somebody and see if I can do a comparison between the two. But if you get a chance, I highly recommend you watch Lichlute's video, the awesome Chinese guy, Lichlute. He's on Facebook and Insta, as well as over on Billy. He does a really good video comparing this with the official Masterpiece figure. Very, very informative indeed. And to be honest with you, I think this guy does look better. But we're going to have some diehard Takara fans out there who will disagree, and I think that's why I love the Transformers fandom so much, because we are spoilt for choice. We have all of these options. I mean, what a time to be a collector. See, now even though he towers over the likes of the MP Starscreams, I still think, personally, he scales better with Megatron and Prime. Obviously, this is Transform Element Prime and Infinite Transformation Megatron, but both appropriately scaled, now on the same size as MP44, and of course, this is based on the MP Megatron. So personally, I still think that scale works a lot better, in my opinion, than the rest of the MP Seekers. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Let's start a discussion thread on scale, everybody's favourite topic. Now, of course, being a pre-production sample, we don't get any instructions with these. You know what? Just once, maybe like even an instructional video they sent us would be nice. But to get him transformed up, you ideally need nails. I can't bring any of this out. If you want to fold his fists in, nothing untoward there. That's pretty much what we would expect with a figure like this. Just bring that thumb down, bring that out, and just flip those in so that it's nice and square. Right, coming nice and close to the next section. I've just pushed this hinge down, so it allows this one to come free, which opens up this section, and then where this splits along the side, that's going to untab from one another. Excuse me for tiptoeing around it, but I overcut my nail. Got that kind of tender point on the top of my nail at the moment. But yeah, these are going to come unplugged. Lego tool to the rescue. And then you can just about see just how much we've got going on in there. There's so much happening in comparison to the kind of original MPs. And naturally, it turns into this kind of Starscream shrugging position. And these panels here are going to flip up and under, and they sit inside that torso. And you want to bring this tab here, come on, out you come, like so. And that's going to free up the mechanisms in the legs. That's a funny old stage to be at. But you can even see the little Diaclone pilot seats and everything on him. Ah, there you go. You see what I mean about the abdominal crunch and that slight kind of paint rubbing on those joints. Now coming down to this chest panel, this opens up, this opens, this opens, and it's on this extending hinge, and you want to rotate that around so it brings it round to the front. And then at this point, this is going to drop down like so, and we've got these sections here, so this can be brought forward, this can come out, rotate around and come around to the front of the nose cone, and we're going to want to do that with both sides, around, rotate like so, and then push that to the front. These are going to come in, this is going to come up like this. It's amazing how all of this kind of panel here just folds away on the underside. This piece here really does need to be tightened on mine. That's kind of the underjet cargo section, and as you might have guessed, with the incorporation of that spring head, it's going to drop into that neck panel and sit in there wonderfully in this section. Now this this is a very unique way to transform. This basically needs to slide down and dip into this void, and as it basically slides in on this hinge, it kind of rocks down, and at the same time we need to get this piece up above here, because that's going to sit in there like so, and then that's going to push down like that, and then we've got this little tab on the underside here that's going to just push, and you want to line that up. Is that lined up on both sides? And come on, just line up with the nose cone as well. There we go. There we go. It's not the easiest part of the transformation, but it really does hold together remarkably well once you've done it. And this is where you get to see some of the flaws I was talking about, that mine being a pre-production sample, these here have been put on the wrong way around. This needs to be, pin needs to be pushed, and this basically needs to be on this side, and vice versa, just so it sits square. Otherwise that's not going to sit on here properly. It needs to go round the other way, unfortunately, but this is the downside, obviously, of pre-production and things straight off of that factory. Right, I've just switched those around now. It's actually incredibly easy to do. You just need the right tool, which is one of these. Highly recommend you getting one. I think this is actually the DNA one from their upgrade kit. Basically the edge that's furthest away, basically push down on that, and that pushes the pin back through. This is kind of the knotted end of the pin where they're driven in. Pushed out all the way out, pushed through, then just switched these over, so they're now correct. Now let's gonna attach this back to Starscream, just a single screw, and let's get back to it. Look at that smooth editing magic, as if nothing was ever wrong. But it's always good to iron out these flaws. I'll send that back to Shozy so they can inform the factory of what happened there. But yeah, it's always good to get these before they hit production. But there you go, that was really simple to rectify. Right, we're at this kind of strange stage here. So you want to lift this panel up, and this whole arm piece is going to come up, and behind this here, so this is going to drop down nicely, and you've got this cockpit section. If you look, that's on a sliding hinge, so that's going to slide, come on, there we go, up like so. So when this falls down, this will all tally up with the back piece of the jet. Come around to the tail end of the jet and rotate this hinge like so. See, I'm not convinced I had that the right way round. I'm wondering whether this was meant to be on the outside in bot mode. I'll have to go back and have a look at the pictures. If it was, then I do apologise. That's probably how it will come in real. No, because that sits too far out of the backpack. I think I had it right. But either way, you need it like this, because this section here is going to basically flip backwards. Let's just bring these back in so they're nice and square, and then let's move these out so we can see what we're doing. And basically these wings are going to roll. And roll, so that you're getting all of this detailing lining up on the backpack. If you bring this arm down, it's going to come down to the side. You see this hinge here with the screw? This is going to come across, and basically this hinge, just need to make sure that I get all of this on camera. It rotates It's a lot easier when I'm not trying to get this on camera, but I should give you the idea. It basically rotates on this hinge here. Come on, around you go. Come on. God, my finger's killing me. There we go. Trust me, it's so much easier when you're doing it in hand. But basically this comes up, this peg's just going to come across. So basically the arm is at the back, and now this section here is on the outside. And with the arms kind of hanging backwards now, you can open up this section here. So it gives us free rein to do what we need to do here. This is going to collapse forwards, so it sits square on the front of that crotch flap, just there. And then we need to open up these, and this is actually going to come away. There we go. That's going to come down. So now you can really see that that's sitting in there nice and square, and you can see that we're eventually going to lay all of this down, and these will all line up tidily. But there's just so much going on to get a good alt mode and that good bot mode. I don't really think the transformation's any more simplistic on this than on the new masterpiece Starscream, but it's just which transformation is the most effective. I think that's what it boils down to. The rear butt flap is going to come up as well, and these are going to come in, and that's going to drop down between the legs. And if you look here where the back of the arms are, basically the arms are going to drop in where the legs are. So I'm just going to remove those super squeaky null rays. I don't know why I didn't remove those earlier on, really. Probably would have made this transformation a lot easier. But we just need to untab this back leg panel. There we go. It's just hooked on like so. That now allows this panel piece to come out. That's going to slide on this axis, and that fully allows that panel to come out and rotate, giving us all of that room in the back of those legs. Okay, now come around to these tail fins, and we're going to just build those up. I'll bring that up like so. This here is going to extend, and this whole panel here just rotates around to the outside of that leg. Like so. This piece here flips and rotates. It's really starting to kind of come together now. Bring the heel outwards, and there's a specific angle where it's just clear of these toes, just there. You see that clears that toe space. That's the one brief angle that we get to open up that foot, and then we can extend that out fully. So when this comes back in like so, this can then push, and it's going to slide just in between those voids and tuck in nicely against the outside of these legs. Now, if you haven't already guessed, the arms are going to slide in to these voids that we've created in those legs. Not the grippiest of tabs, but these do. If you square off these legs properly, these do tab in together just at the base of those feet. That's going to make it easier when we rock this section back down. And get these arms to sit flush. Now we're going to slide this panel in. You see the backpack's all kind of dropping into position. The only part you're really going to struggle with are these bits around here. You need to get it past the red pegs. These are on sliders. Slide them all the way to the back and tilt them so that when we bring that down, this is just gonna sit and squish in either side of those, so it's nice and snug. And then we can bring this in there and this in like so, nice and tidy like this. And then these are all going to kind of flatten off and tab in. Come on, in you go. You may have noticed through the transformation we've got this flappy little dude that sits out of the way. He is there for a reason. This is going to bend down, this hinge here. That arches down. So to do that we need to flip that on the inside of that hinge. So this comes down square. Again, this looks so much easier than doing it in person. But come on, slide in at that right angle. There we go, right, that's in, like so. And then this part here is going to just come across like so. There. Like this. And then this little flappy guy here, like that, just goes in. And that's just going to push and tab and just kind of tidy up the hinge. If you look, the inner part of the leg slides down into this void. This part's then going to come down, and these are going to tab in together. Come on. Oh, there we go. And then this has two retaining tabs here. And that's locked in, that locks in. Push, secure those, bring the thrusters back up to the top, making sure all that's tabbed in. And then we can bring these wings out, bring out the fins so that they all sit flat, and then this just slides across, and that's going to push and tab in. So again on this side, bring that out, bring this out, and this one out, rock that backwards, and that's going to sit, tab, and secure into place on the back there. Make sure all of this is tabbed in, making sure those feet are in on the underside, pushing on this section here, allowing for this piece to come in. That's going to flip, roll, and we have the wheels on the underside there as well, so that comes up. So push the wheel up like that and just rock that forwards. That now allows this to have all the space that it needs in the world there. Look, push this in, have those together. Oh, come on. There we go. Nice and flat top set of wheels as well. Really need to just tighten that hinge though. I've even gone as far as engineering the null rays. They attach at the base here, so you untab those. This then flips around, this compresses in, and then this comes back down, and they're going to push and tab, and now we have missiles as opposed to null rays. And there we have our beautiful alternative to masterpiece Starscream. Need to just tweak some of these bits here. Like, I don't think I've pushed this section quite square enough on the underside for that to sit as nicely as it should. Well, that's a really sleek and slender jet mode, isn't it? Not a great deal of space there for Diaclone pilots, but enough space nonetheless. And here he is alongside that MP11 mould in his jet form. And to be honest with you, I think the MP11 actually comes up a little bit longer. This guy's obviously got more depth to him, but I'm not really sure which one looks the most kind of vehicle accurate to real life. Both are similar, but don't quite get it exactly spot on. But I think this Screamer definitely looks way more like his cartoon counterpart. But I think that was the aim they were going for anyway. Obviously, the Yes model version with that panel lining definitely went for more of a kind of realistic vibe. But genuinely very impressed with this. The transformation isn't the easiest, but comparably speaking, it's not overly complex compared to what you get with the Masterpiece version. It's just getting everything to work for you at the right times, and it's definitely a lot more difficult to get it on camera than it is to do it in real life. I'd like to thank ShowZ again for getting this out to me, let me have an early look. I hope you found the video useful. I'll include a link in the description below where this can be pre-ordered. And until next time, from myself and the rest of the Collectables household, thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.